I'm Anna and welcome to GFLF I am so excited today because we're doing a baked cheesecake. I think I literally cried the day, with happiness, the day Littles brought out their lactose-free cream cheese, which meant that I could again have cheesecake. I'm ecstatic. So I'm really happy to be able to share this recipe with you today. There's a lot of substitution going on in here. I'll talk you through it, but it's really easy. So before you get started, preheat the oven to 140 degrees fan forced. A couple of things, just as we always do when we start. If your glutard is celiac or very, very sensitive to gluten, make sure your workspace is really clean so that there's no cross-contamination with your glutinous products. And if your lactard is actually dairy-free, this recipe is really not suitable for them. If you want to know about dairy-free versus lactose-free, head over to the Facebook page. There's some information on there about it, but do check with them. This is lactose-free, but it's not dairy-free. All right, let's get started. So some of the ingredients we'll go through. So what you need is 300 grams of, and I'll turn that around for you, 300 grams of sweet biscuit, sweet gluten-free biscuit. You can use anything. I use arrowroots. And I choose this brand only because I can get it at Woolies, Coles, IGAs. It seems to be pretty across the board. And it's got a really nice taste, like the same as the normal cheesecake bases. So you need 300 of those. Now you will notice if you're substituting yourself, just remember, gluten-free biscuits usually have a lot of rice flour in them, so when you break them down, they're actually going to break into a finer crumb than a normal biscuit. So you always need to up the amount of biscuit just that little bit. So a normal cheesecake recipe might be 250 grams. We're going for 300 grams of gluten-free biscuit. We've got 3/4 of a cup of sour cream, lactose-free sour cream. You can use any sour cream. Little's is just the one that I find is easily available. You need 2 tubs of the cream cheese, full tubs of the cream cheese, lactose-free cream cheese. 3 eggs. I do large free-range eggs, up to you what you want to do. It doesn't make too much of a difference. The rind of 1 full lemon. Again, your lemon size doesn't really matter, just whatever it is, it just enhances the taste. So 1 rind. Be careful when you're doing your lemon. I'm only saying this, and maybe for non-seasoned bakers, because I got stuck doing this. If you go gangbusters on the lemon, like I did, and it doesn't have a very thick rind, it's actually going to go down to the white part of the rind. That stays chewy and it won't break down in your cheesecake mixture. So just try and go really nice and lightly, just to get the yellow. And 125. I'm going to turn that around because I didn't cut that properly. 125 grams of butter, and you're going to melt that butter, and it's going to mix in for your base. And then you need a teaspoon of vanilla as well. Just vanilla essence is fine. So we'll get started. We're going to make the base first because that needs to go into the fridge to harden up.
Harden up.
Harden up. So with your biscuit base, so break them up as they go into a processor. So this is just I don't know what this is called. This is a blitzer. But if you've seen some of our last video, if you want and you don't have one of these, just put all your bickies into a snap block bag, grab out your rolling pin and give them a good bash. I like a really fine crumb for my base, but it all depends on what you like. If you like a crunchy crumb, then don't blitz it as much or don't smash it as much. Otherwise, go a really nice fine crumb. And then we're going to mix this in with the melted butter. So tonight, we're brought to you by, it's a Thursday night, long day, and we're really enjoying cooking for you, so we're accompanying it with a gin. I am a gin freak. I absolutely love them. I think they're amazing. So tonight we have a nice little selection here. We have, it's able forces. Bathtub gin, it's an Old Tom. It's delicious. Cheers!
Chin chin.
Always drink in moderation. Okay, so we've got our crumb in a bowl ready to go. So we're just going to add in the melted butter. Just throw it on in. Give it a mix up. You can reduce the amount of butter that you put in here. You can go down to 100 grams if that suits you better. You'll still, because of the gluten-free biscuit, you'll still get enough of the consistency to make a base. Okay, so I've got quite a loose base going on there. So like I said, you can use less butter and it won't be as wet. You need a springform pan, 20 or 22 centimetres. It's not overly, I don't find it overly important, but around that size. I'd line it only because when you go to cut the base, it's quite firm because it's been in the fridge, so you might damage the bottom of your pan. So put your base in. Okay, so what you want to do is once your base is in, you want to flatten it out. So it's got a nice even bottom. And then start heading up the sides to give your cheesecake a nice side crust. Because it's warm and I've got the consistency of the biscuits against the butter, it's going to start drooping a little bit. If you're not happy with, so this is going in the fridge now for half an hour. If you're not happy with how that is, pop it in for 10 minutes, bring it back out, mould it again, and then just pop it back in the fridge. Alright, so while that's settling, and like I said, after about 10 minutes, if you weren't happy with the consistency, just get it out. It'll actually be a little bit more set so it's you can mould it a little bit better. So what we're going to do now is the base. So the cream cheese, it's kind of good to get your cream cheese out when you start cooking. Let it soften a little bit. It makes it easier to whip it, or blend it, I suppose. There you go. Add in your 3/4 of a cup of caster sugar. Again, if you want this a little bit healthier, go down to about a half. Got the sour cream. Again, this is 3/4 of a cup. I would keep this at 3/4 though. Pop in your lemon rind from 1 lemon. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla essence, which miraculously appeared. Right, take that over. If you've got a fancy dancy food mixer, KitchenAid, that's what I'm getting at. Thank you, Erin. If you've got one of those, which makes it much easier because you don't have to hold it, get that out. Otherwise, go to the handy hand mixers, like I do. So using your hand mixers, just mix all that together until it's well combined. Alrighty, so that's the sort of consistency that you're looking for. I actually find that the more you mix the the mixture at this part, and when you put the eggs in, the lighter and fluffier it's going to be. But it definitely needs to be mixed well before you start putting the eggs in. So I've got 3 eggs. They're going to go in one at a time. Oh, man. It's getting everywhere. So, what you're looking at is this really nice loose mixture, and so that forms the base of your inside. So this, my base has been in for probably about 10 or so minutes, and as you can see, it's really starting to firm up so that I can start manipulating it a bit more to how I like, so maybe higher in the sides if that's what you like, or a thinner base. So that's going to go back into the fridge for another 20 minutes before we put the insides in. Okay, so the base has been in the fridge for a good half an hour. It's looking quite good. It's very solid. When you touch it, you won't be able to manipulate it. So take your innards, I don't know why I keep calling it an innards, but take your innards and pour it in. Make sure you get all the good stuff. This is so delicious. As soon as that camera stops rolling, I'm licking this bowl. Alright, okay, that's enough. No, more, no, it's enough. So, just even spread that out so it's nice and even, and then that is what it will look like when you're done. And then, a little trick that my gorgeous, wonderful baking sister taught me is to ensure that your cheesecake doesn't crack while it's cooking. Put it over water. So what I choose to do is just one of those baking trays that's got the ridges in it. I don't even know what that's called. The
rack.
Rack. Thank you. My goodness. With the rack in it, fill it up with water, just so that the water's sitting just under the rack, and then pop your cheesecake on top, and it'll help it to rise evenly and not crack at the top. So you've already preheated your oven to 140 degrees Celsius for femme forced, and pop it in. Ow. Don't burn yourself. Alright, that's much easier than it actually looked. But pop it in the oven, and you're looking for about 50 minutes in the oven, so 50 minutes to an hour. Check it at 50 minutes, because depending on your oven, it might not need much longer, but we'll come back and have a look at what it looks like in 50 minutes. So you're looking for a wobbly centre, so cooked, but the centre's still wobbly. So this has had about 50 minutes. It's nice and brown on the top. And if you give it a wiggle, it's quite fluid in the middle. So I'm going to give it another, say, 5 minutes, because it's probably a little too soft in the middle, but we're getting very close to that being ready, because the rest of the setting will happen in the oven after it's finished. It cools down in the oven, so the rest of the setting will happen in there, and then the final setting will happen in the fridge after that's finished. So I'll give it another 5, and then I'll show you what that looks like. So that's gone in for another 5 minutes, and to the touch it's really quite nice and solid, but that middle is still wobbly. I hate to say it, but I busted out. I've got a hole. I don't know how that happened, but anyway. But it's still kind of nice because it hasn't properly cracked, so the water does help. But it's still nice and wobbly in the middle, so that's actually quite a good amount of wobble going on. What you need to do is leave this in the oven, turn the oven off, leave it in there. An hour's probably the minimum you want to leave it in the oven, but maybe an hour to 2 hours depending on how long you can leave it, but maybe a minimum of an hour. And then as soon as you've done that, you need to separate the cheesecake from the sides and pop it in the fridge. It's usually not too bad even after a couple of hours, so if you've got a dinner party on, you can do this earlier, put it in the fridge while you have dinner, and it should be right for dessert. Ideally, the longer it's in the fridge, the firmer it will be, so overnight's probably fantastic. With this one too, even though it's gluten-free and lactose-free, it'll last really well for a few days in a snap lock container, so airtight container in the fridge. But it'll last for days, just like any other cheesecake. So I'm going to put it back in, I'm going to turn the oven off and let it cool down. So we'll come back to you with what it looks like after it's been in the fridge overnight. So, very excited to have shared that cheesecake recipe with you. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope your glutard and lactards enjoy. Next time, I'm super excited as well. Can you tell that I love baking and cakes? Next time, we're going to do lemon meringue pies. I'm going to do individual lemon meringue pies, but the same. What we do for the individuals is effectively the same for the larger ones, but I'll talk you through that. So come back, stay with us, and we'll do lemon meringue pies next.